The chandeliers in my parents' dining room bathed the oak table, a family heirloom for 3 generations, in a soft golden light. Crystal glasses sparkled, casting prisms across the crisp white tablecloth my mother had meticulously ironed. The room could have graced the pages of a luxury home magazine, a perfect reflection of the polished image my parents always strived to project. This Christmas dinner was meant to be a joyful reunion. For the first time in 2 years, the entire family was together. My parents, my older brother Nathan and his wife Sophia, my younger sister Lily with her fiancé James, and me, Claire. The table groaned under the weight of traditional dishes. Honey-roasted ham, golden turkey, creamy mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, and my mother's signature cranberry relish. A labor of love that took 3 days to perfect. But beneath the festive veneer, tension simmered. Ever since I'd announced my career shift, my family had acted as if I'd betrayed some sacred code. "Claire, could you pass the gravy?" my mother asked, her voice tinged with the strained politeness she used when suppressing her frustration. I handed her the antique gravy boat, part of her inherited wedding china, and watched her pour with deliberate precision, every gesture calculated to uphold her image of flawless control. "So," my father said, placing his wine glass down with a sharp clink, "it's time we address the elephant in the room." The chatter around the table hushed. Nathan and Sophia exchanged a glance. Lily's hand slipped under the table to find James's. My mother's lips tightened almost imperceptibly. "What elephant, Dad?" I asked, though I suspected what was coming. William Harper had built his fortune and reputation on blunt decisiveness. Starting with a modest construction business 30 years ago, he transformed it into a leading commercial real estate empire. Subtlety wasn't his style when he believed someone needed a hard truth. "Your decision to throw away everything we've built for you," he said, his voice carrying the edge that had cowed business rivals and family alike. "Abandoning a solid career in corporate law to chase some foolish dream of charity work." I set my fork down carefully, fighting to stay calm. "I didn't abandon anything, Dad. I chose a career that reflects my values." "Values?" Nathan snorted from across the table. My brother, the golden child, Stanford MBA, thriving investment banker, married to the daughter of another prominent family, had followed my parents' blueprint to the letter. He couldn't fathom why I'd stray. "Since when is financial recklessness of value?" "Claire, darling," my mother said, her tone laced with the saccharine bite she wielded like a weapon, "we've indulged your little volunteering stint, but isn't it time to be practical about your future?" "My volunteering stint," I echoed, my patience fraying. "Working for that legal aid group, you mean?" Lily chimed in, always quick to align with our parents' approval. "It's sweet you want to help people, Claire, but you can't build a life on that kind of paycheck." She'd chosen a safe marketing job at a family friend's company and was planning a wedding extravagant enough to dwarf most people's annual salaries. "Actually," I said, "I'm not with the legal aid group anymore." The table went silent. This was news to them all. "What do you mean?" my father asked, suspicion creeping into his tone. I sipped my wine, a fine Bordeaux from my father's prized collection, and smiled. "I started my own firm 3 months ago, Harper Justice Advocates. We focus on civil rights and social equity cases." The reaction was explosive. "You started your own firm?" my mother gasped. "Without consulting us? You used our family name," Nathan snapped, "for some do-gooder legal practice?" "Claire, this is exactly the kind of reckless choice we've been worried about," Lily added, shaking her head. My father's face flushed crimson. "You had no right to use the Harper name for your amateur crusade. Our family has a reputation, and I won't let you tarnish it with your naive activism." "Naive activism?" I repeated, my composure cracking. "Is that what you call defending people's rights?" "I call it idealism that'll ruin your career," my father shot back. "Do you know how much I've invested in your education? Law school internships, connections, all wasted so you can play hero to people who can't pay their rent." Sophia, who rarely spoke during family disputes, cleared her throat. "Maybe Claire just needs to get this out of her system. She could return to corporate law later." "There won't be a later," my father said sharply. "Not if she keeps this up. Claire, I'm giving you one chance to end this nonsense. Shut down your firm, apologize to the partners at Grayson & Co. for leaving abruptly, and we'll forget this ever happened." I stared at him, stunned. "You want me to close my firm and go back to defending corporations?" "I want you to grow up and honor your responsibilities to this family," he said coldly. "And if I don't," he leaned back, his face hardening into the look that had broken countless opponents, "then you're disinherited. No more family money, no trust fund, no safety net. You want to play social justice crusader. Do it without our support." The silence was deafening. Nathan and Lily exchanged smug glances. They'd always resented my slightly larger trust fund, a perk of being the first grandchild. "William," my mother said softly, though her tone suggested she backed his ultimatum, "isn't that a bit harsh?" "Not at all," he replied. "Claire needs to learn actions have consequences. If she rejects what this family stands for, she can do it without our wealth." Nathan smirked. "Maybe this'll teach her some financial sense." Lily nodded eagerly. "She'll come crawling back when her little firm fails." I looked at my family, the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally, and felt a cold resolve settle in my chest. They weren't just criticizing my career, they were trying to force me back into their mold. "Well," my father demanded, "what's it going to be? Are you ready to act like an adult, or do I call my lawyer tomorrow?" I sipped my wine and smiled. "Check your bank account, Dad." The request threw him off. "What? Your bank account," I repeated. "The main operating account for Harper Realty. Check the balance." His expression shifted from confusion to irritation, but something in my tone made him pull out his phone. The family watched as he opened his banking app, likely expecting some trivial error I'd uncovered. Instead, his face went ashen. "That's impossible," he whispered, staring at the screen. "What's impossible?" Nathan demanded, leaning over. My father's hands trembled as he showed the phone to my mother. She gasped audibly. "The account balance is 0, she said faintly. "0?" Lily's voice pitched with panic. I set down my glass and smiled at their stunned faces. "Exactly what I said. The main operating account for Harper Realty, your working capital, payroll, and operational funds, now has a balance of $0.00. Chaos erupted. Nathan grabbed the phone, Lily fired off frantic questions. Sophia suggested calling the bank for fraud, and my father checked other accounts, his face paling with each screen. "Claire," my mother said, her voice tight with panic, "what have you done?" "Nothing illegal," I assured her. "I used the financial power of attorney Dad gave me 6 months ago during his heart scare." The memory of that harrowing week in March flooded back. My father had been rushed to the hospital with a suspected heart attack. While he was in the ICU, my mother was overwhelmed managing his care and urgent business decisions. I'd taken leave from Grayson & Co. to keep Harper Realty running, working grueling hours to handle clients, projects, and finances. When my father recovered, he'd given me power of attorney over the business accounts. "Just in case," he'd said, trusting me to protect the company. "You gave her power of attorney," Nathan roared. "Why not me?" "You were in Singapore closing a deal," my father said weakly. "Claire kept the company afloat. She earned my trust." "Earned it to rob us?" Lily shrieked. "I didn't rob anyone," I said firmly. "Every transaction was legal within the authority Dad granted me." "Then where's our money?" my mother demanded. I opened a document on my phone, a financial plan I'd crafted over months. "The funds have been reallocated per a restructuring plan I executed over the past few weeks." I handed my phone to my father, showing a detailed spreadsheet. 40% went to a trust for displaced workers, families who lost homes when Harper Realty built luxury condos. My mother clutched her throat. "You gave our money to strangers?" 25% went to legal aid groups for those who can't afford representation, I continued. 15% funds environmental restoration in communities damaged by our construction. 10% established the Harper Social Justice Fellowship for young public interest lawyers. The final 10% supports Harper Justice Advocates expansion. The silence was profound, broken only by the ticking of the hallway clock. Nathan found his voice first. "You stole our fortune and gave it to your causes." "I redistributed wealth built on systemic harm," I corrected. "Harper Realty profited by displacing families and destroying communities. I ensured some of those profits helped those we hurt." "You ruined us," Lily whispered, tears streaming. I met her gaze, feeling both sorrow and resolve. "You cheered when Dad threatened to cut me off. I did this because I saw, during Dad's hospital stay, that our wealth came from exploitation. Every condo we built displaced families. Every project destroyed green spaces." I gestured to the opulent dining room. "This was funded by others suffering. I couldn't live with that." My father, still studying the spreadsheet, looked almost thoughtful. "Claire, these donations, the worker trust, the environmental fund, they address damage our company caused." "Exactly," I said. "I researched every Harper Realty project from the past decade, calculated the social and environmental toll, and allocated funds to repair it." "You've bankrupted us," my mother said, hollow-voiced. I've liquidated cash reserves, I corrected. The company still holds valuable real estate and contracts. Harper Realty isn't collapsing, it just can't continue as it was. I opened another document. I've drafted a plan to shift the company to sustainable practices, affordable housing, eco-friendly construction, community partnerships. Nathan shook his head. You threw away our future. We could have been set for life. We were set, I said. The question is whether our security should cost others their rights. James, Lily's fiancé, spoke up pale. Lily, maybe we should rethink the wedding if your family's finances are shaky. We're not shaky, Lily snapped. Claire just moved money around. Dad will fix it. But my father was still reviewing my spreadsheet, his expression shifting. Claire, this worker trust, how does it function? It offers housing assistance, job training, and loans for families displaced by our projects, I explained. It helps them rebuild. And the environmental fund? Soil cleanup, tree planting, community gardens, and renewable energy for low-income housing, I said. He was quiet, then asked, How long have you been planning this? Since you gave me power of attorney, I admitted. I saw a chance to make our wealth mean something better. You planned this showdown, my mother accused. You knew we'd pressure you. I hoped you'd be proud of my firm, I said. But when you threatened to disinherit me, I realized your money doesn't control me. The rest of the dinner was a blur of shock, anger, and slow acceptance. Nathan and Lily remained furious, seeing my actions as betrayal. My mother wavered between horror and reluctant respect, but my father surprised me. As the evening ended, he pulled me into his study. Claire, he said, settling behind his desk, were you trying to destroy our financial security? No, Dad, I said. I was trying to make it something I could be proud of. He nodded. This sustainable business plan, how detailed is it? I showed him my 64-page proposal. Market analysis, financial projections, case studies, and partnerships. He spent an hour reading, asking sharp questions about costs and challenges. This could work, he said finally, looking at me with something like pride. You've changed everything, Claire, maybe for the better.